Jeff, where do you see the future of TV news?
I don't know. I think that we've seen desperation hit the other media of news over the years, right? Newspapers from the beginning of the web, which is 20 years ago in October, was the creation of the commercial web. Music got hit, newspapers got hit, magazines got hit. TV didn't get hit so much because TV still had a business model. But we had data here today from Pew's study of American audience and found that young people, 18 to 29, have gone from half watching TV news yesterday to a third watching TV news yesterday in only 6 years. And so that trend is obviously where that's going. That means the future is leaving and the past is dying. So I think that there's the first little soupçon of desperation is coming to the TV news industry, and I see that as an opportunity. I see it as an opportunity to innovate. So we had this event here at CUNY today where we had 24 people present their visions for news. It was a hodgepodge, it was uneven, there was no real theme, but that's exactly what I wanted, because I think we have to start the discussion about where the opportunities are in innovation. And I'm not going to predict where it is in really any of journalism, but especially in TV, I think we're just beginning to maybe be able to start to break down the orthodoxies and the assumptions about TV and rethink what it does.
Do the major trends in journalism distinguish in Europe, especially in Germany, from these in the United States?
The market in Germany is definitely different from the market in the US. In the US, we're so darn big, we didn't really have national newspapers until the 70s when satellite transmission came into effect. Whereas in Germany, you've had robust national brands of different viewpoints serving different kinds of audiences. So you have a Bild and a Süddeutsche and an FAZ, and they all have their places in an ecosystem. We didn't have that here. And that's a big difference. What it means in the US is we had monopolies that were incredibly rich, fat and sassy, and they got hit like that when the internet came along. German market, I think, was a bit healthier, but it too is getting hit. The internet is a universal. And it has certain dynamics that are universal, and the impact on one given media ecosystem may be different, but the relationship that people have with the net and with each other through it is pretty much the same. So I think that the German media market can look at America as an early warning system for what's going to happen there.
What do media organizations nowadays still do wrong to your point of view?
I don't really want to concentrate on what they do wrong. I mean, I could go on about that, but I think that it's more than that. I think we've got to rethink the very essence of journalism. We operate on a Gutenberg era presumption that we make content. That's what we do, right? We're all storytellers. Well, what if we're not? What if instead journalism is a service? What does a service do? A service accomplishes things for people. Content merely fills things. And if a service is going to accomplish things for people, we have to know what they need. And that means we have to first go to them and talk with them and listen to them and ask them and learn and discern what people need. And only then can we determine what we can bring them as journalists and what form that takes. Whether that form is stories or whether it's data or whether it's tools or platforms, I don't know. So we've got to challenge the essential assumptions of journalism. I'm fond of talking about Gutenberg and the lessons from the invention of the book. And it took, on the one hand, I argue that we have to have urgency about change and disruption in news. On the other hand, we have to have patience. It took 50 years after the invention of the book before it took on its own form. It was originally copying scribes' handwriting. It was called automated writing. It took 100 years for the impact of the book on society to be understood. It took 150 years before anyone thought to invent a newspaper, which to us to now is so self-evident. If you think about that, we went from scribal books that were used were around lectures from podiums to suddenly everybody having books, to suddenly someone could reinvent this printing technology again. We don't know what the internet is yet. And that's the point of having an event about reinventing TV news. It's not to say that the TV news sucks, though it often does. It's really to say we're blind to the opportunities because we're keeping our old assumptions about what media looked like. We're trying to take our forms and especially our business models into this new world. I've just finished a book called Geeks Bearing Gifts that's about the future of news. And my main point in that is that we have to rethink of journalism as a service around the idea of new relationships, new forms, and new models. And through all those, we have to think of journalism as being in the relationship business.
Which media organizations are especially progressive or innovative and can be a role model for others?
There's a lot of innovation going on here and there. We see The Guardian, through my work, I think is brilliant in so many ways. They're a profit-seeking organization and choose to give up profit to innovate. I think that I work also with Advanced Publications in the US, which has really just gone digital first, where the paper is truly a byproduct. You see the same thing happening at Die Welt, at Axel Springer, where they tell me that they have really gone digital first and the paper is another product they happen to put out. There are pockets of innovation all over, and I think that's great. We've got to do that. We also see, obviously, a lot of startups. We saw the fact that Wikipedia could become one form of news, not a topic, but a form, the backgrounder. But what do we know now? And then along comes Vox that says we can make a business out of that. One of my students here at CUNY, Christian Fahrenbach, has also made a business out of making backgrounder videos for the German market. So that's an idea where you say, we can take a piece of news, a kind of form of news, a use of news, and make companies out of that. That's innovative too.
BuzzFeed got started in Germany recently, so what do you personally think about BuzzFeed?
Jonah Peretti, the founder of BuzzFeed, is brilliant. He's the brains behind Huffington Post and how it grew, which has also recently come to Germany. And he has done something that is worth looking at BuzzFeed. Though I think there's a bit of cynicism to BuzzFeed in that we move from an era of search engine optimization to social engine optimization and trying to get people to click and link on things. But I think that the truth is that there's a bubble waiting to burst there, because Chartbeat, a statistics company, has found that people who share don't necessarily read what they share. We think that sharing means, oh, you love my stuff. No, we're just passing it on quickly. Also, we find that native advertising is not necessarily read by readers to the level that they think. Now, so I think those are pillars of what BuzzFeed does, and they may disappear, but Jonah Peretti is brilliant, and I'll bet you that he'll be ahead of the industry and invent the new thing while the industry is still trying to copy all of that.
What would you recommend young journalists who are getting started right now?
Well, come to CUNY, of course, and take one of our degrees in journalism or in entrepreneurial journalism, or soon, once we're approved, in social journalism.
And besides that?
Besides that, I think that journalists should go and practice the trade. Find a community that's not being served well and serve them. Period. Full stop. Figure out what it is they need. Go listen to them and bring whatever tools you have to bear. You don't need to become a coder. You don't need to become absolutely brilliant in every medium. You need to give people substance and value, and you'll know when you're doing that. You'll know when they find you, and when you find them, and when you hear back. Do it. So whether it's a blog or a podcast or whatever it is, find a community that needs serving and serve them. That's what journalists have always done.
Should journalists nowadays be entrepreneurs?
Not all journalists should be entrepreneurs, but a lot of journalists should be entrepreneurs, yes, because we have the opportunity to create our own businesses and our own jobs now. Listen, we still train students here at great measure for working in big media companies because there's jobs there. In fact, our students are forward-thinking and young and energetic, and they get hired. But we also train them to be able to make their own jobs and change journalism along the way.
How would you finish the sentence? The future of journalism is?
Unknown, and we have to invent it.
Thank you.
Vielen Dank.